Hey, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'd like to talk to you about negative thoughts and my tips on how to deal with them, okay? Now, it doesn't matter how much work I've done on myself in the past like 10 plus, 15 plus years, negative thoughts always find a way back into our minds, and they can come from like old belief systems or old thought patterns that you've worked on, but that's still, from time to time just come back up and rear their ugly heads, okay? And I found ways to deal with them depending on the intensity. Sometimes it's very low intensity where I can just dismiss them quickly, but sometimes they're really, really strong, and it takes me time to work through them so that they don't overwhelm my own energy, like my general energy, okay, and then mess up my whole day. So here's what I do. First things first, conscious breathing. This is like my number one tip for pretty much everything in life. It's just conscious breathing. Somebody's annoying the shit out of you, conscious breathing. In traffic, you're becoming impatient. I know I do sometimes. Conscious breathing. There's a situation and you're about to argue with someone. Conscious breathing. It's really my tip for everything. I always come back to that very, very first thing. It brings oxygen to the mind. It calms down the nervous system. Your whole energy just relaxes or just becomes more centered instead of being all over the place, hectic, with a certain emotion that you're going through at the time. It just comes back to center. And from this space, from all your energy coming more to the center, it's easier to then consciously redirect your energy or your response, your reaction to the situation in a way that is not extreme, depending on whatever you were feeling. So if you were like annoyed, you're not going to be extremely annoyed and maybe answer in a way that's very aggressive, and saying all kinds of bad words, or belittling the other person or the situation, whatever. Maybe you'll be annoyed, but just less annoyed, and then you could just be like, yo, like, da 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 da, move on, like it's a different way for you to like respond, right? So conscious breathing, okay? Through the nose, you inhale, fill the belly up, and maybe stay there for one count or two, and then release the air through the nose again, because it's more controlled. Through the mouth, it's like there's more air coming out. But through your nose, it's more controlled. And this way, the amount of air that comes out, you can really be conscious of the time that it takes for it to come out as you exhale. Okay, so you empty the belly to the point where you want to feel your belly button touching your spinal cord in the back. You really empty the belly. So you can do this like at least 3, 4, 5 breaths, how many you feel you need at the time. Just do that. The other person or whatever the situation, they may look at you like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? I don't know if I can curse on YouTube, but like, what the hell are you doing? And you could just be like, just one moment. This will allow you to not jump and attack the situation. Please do so. Sometimes that's all it takes. It's conscious breathing. Now, if you're alone, right? If you have negative thoughts on your own, because sometimes I wake up in the morning and it's like negative thoughts are running around my mind. I'm like, where do you come from? I just woke up, but it happens. So let's say you're alone. So the negative thoughts come, they show up. Conscious breathing, number one. Number two, the way that I picture negative thoughts, or actually thoughts in general, but now just to focus on negative thoughts, I see them as clouds in the sky. Okay? So I, as the consciousness living in this body, governing this body temple, okay, I look at my thoughts as if I was an observer. So I'm like detaching myself from the thoughts. Instead of creating this energetic link with them where I have a thought, I create the energy that's associated with that thought. So if it's negative, let's say it's a thought of, oh, you're not good enough. Okay. So the thought, you're not good enough, And then my feeling of like, oh shit, like maybe I'm not, and I feel sad or I feel disappointed or whatever. And then that emotion and the thought create a link, and then it just, they both feed off of each other. So the thought becomes even stronger, the emotion becomes stronger, and then it overwhelms you. Your hormones are all over the place. Your brain is sending all kinds of signals of distress, and now here you are feeling messed up. But really it's this marriage, this union of the thought and the energetic, um the emotion, the energetic emotion that you put into it, that made it become something much bigger than it really had to be. So instead, I detach myself. I see them as clouds in the sky. And what do clouds in the sky do? Sometimes they're there for a hot minute, and then they shift and change form. And then the wind will come by, blow them away. Doesn't matter. I am in a position of observer, and I just see it change forms. I acknowledge the thought. I see you're there. Like, let's say it's the you're not good enough. I see you're there. Oh, you're shifting, you're changing forms. You're seeing the thought as an entity can see that, oh, she's not giving me the emotional feed that I need to grow, to become strong, to take over. And now it's like changing forms. It's like, oh, okay, you're not good enough is not working. Okay, let me shift into, I don't know, this thing that you did. Like, oh, it wasn't really good, by the way. Remember, like you were disappointed, it wasn't really good enough. And then you're still here, like, okay, I see the thought. And the thought is like, the hell? Like, okay, let me shift into something else. It'll try different ways to come and attack. But as you're not feeding it, at some point, what's going to happen? It'll just have to go away. It'll like die out. Technically, the wind will come, blow it away. And next thing you know, maybe 10, 15 minutes later, you're back to being your, you know, normal self, for like a better word. But you have like thoughts that are like, okay, these are the regular thoughts that I have in my mind. They're not like completely negative. It's just this negative thought came and passed by, and it blew away, and now it's gone. It was just a moment where it shifted through my mind. It just passed through my mind, right? So you didn't create an emotional attachment to it, an energetic attachment or link to that thought, to that cloud. Because when you do, like I explained before, it'll grow, it'll grow, it'll grow. Next thing you know, it becomes a storm, it becomes a whole hurricane, and it starts devastating you. It starts creating all types of damage in your mind and in your life. Because if here your negative thoughts are taking over, let's say you're not good enough, now it's become so big in your mind, everything that you do will have that energetic essence to it. Whatever you touch, you could be at your job, you could be, I don't know, filing paperwork or whatever. And even then you'll be like, oh, I'm not doing this good enough. Just filing paperwork. Yeah. Well, the thought, because it became a storm, will even like add its little energetic touch to that simple task. Or even like putting stuff away in your house or folding clothes. Like you'll just feel like, oh, whatever I do is not good enough. Anything anybody tells you, you'll think like, oh yeah, they're telling me that because, yeah, you're right, I'm not good enough. Like you'll see everything as an attack. Somebody could tell you something like as basic as, oh, if you did this way, it'll be more efficient. And be like, yeah, that's right, I'm not good enough, so I can't even do it right. Really, it had nothing to do with your performance of a simple task, of any task. It's just the fact that you have this storm within you that's now clouding your perception of things, or clouding your perception of receiving information from outside of yourself or anything that you do. It'll bring rain and storms and crazy winds in everything that you do. So not only within you will it affect you, but it also affect everything outside of you. You see what I'm saying? So see them as clouds in the sky. And even when the thoughts can be very intense, because even I still deal with some stuff, old school stuff that has like really deep roots, that it takes time, it takes work to really like uproot everything and do the process of transmutation, of shifting things around. It takes time. So I still have stuff that comes up that's heavy for me to deal with. And when those thoughts, those events rear their ugly heads, and then all the emotional imprints that are associated with those events or with those thoughts, when they emerge, when they come up, I really have to take time to like, okay, so I do my conscious breathing. And then, okay, this is not just clouds in the sky. This is like a storm that's coming by. It's already a storm. It's been a storm since way, way back. Maybe it's not hurricane crazy level from back in the days. Now it's like, okay, it's a storm. It still has crazy strong winds, but it won't like uproot houses in my mind. You know what I mean? Like if you make a picture out of it, but like it won't just have cars flying around and stuff like that. Maybe it'll like, have some tree branches fly around and whatever. It'll cause some mess, but it won't take over and completely uproot everything in my life like it used to 15, 20 years ago, right? But when those storms show up, I do the same thing. Conscious breathing, and then I see it as what it is, a storm going by. Now, being conscious of that, it's not just a cloud. So, when you see clouds in the sky, you can just keep walking and be like, oh, clouds in the sky. But when it's a storm, you have to really root yourself so that you don't go around flying in the aftermath of the storm, right? Of the winds. So if you're able to, plant your feet in the ground. Really plant your feet in the ground. Feel the ground underneath you. Okay? And you can even visualize, it's like roots, kind of like roots of a tree going from under your feet into the ground, really rooting you, grounding you, like nothing could move you, like you're solid. In yoga, we have a posture called Tadasana, the mountain, where you really have to root yourself in the ground. You have to feel your whole legs, your whole body is participating and rooting you into the ground. And once you're rooted that way, you can really feel that, okay, I'm solid where I'm standing. So no matter what happens, winds could come and maybe like, push me around left and right like this, back and forth. But I'm so grounded, so grounded. I'm so anchored that it can't just, a wind can't just come and blow me away. All these emotions, all these events, I see them, I'm aware of them, I'm conscious that they're here, I acknowledge their existence, but they won't just uproot me and blow me away and create havoc in my life. Okay, so really ground yourself. You can even close your eyes and do the conscious breathing and just visualize yourself anchoring your feet into the ground, anchoring yourself into the ground, seeing like roots going deep down and just really like, they're going around everywhere in the ground and they're taking so much space and they're so grounded. You're solid like a rock. You cannot be moved. Okay. And so you can do that and just ground yourself and allow the storm to pass. And sometimes, well, not sometimes, every time that happens to me, like, so whether I'm able to like be standing or if I'm just waking up and so I'm lying in bed, but what I remember, if ever for some reason I can't ground myself that way, I keep in mind that, okay, I'm like a mountain. I can visualize myself standing in Tadasana posture, in mountain pose, or just standing strong, my feet together. Or maybe your feet can be a little bit apart. It's okay, it doesn't matter. As long as you feel grounded, really grounded and anchored. And I tell myself, just be here, be still. This too shall pass. Like this storm shall pass. And I just breathe into that. Be here, be still. This too shall pass. And I breathe and I breathe and I breathe. It'll take some time, sometimes 10, 15 minutes, sometimes 20, maybe sometimes for an hour, it'll be somewhere in my mind space. But once I've really done that work of like grounding myself and conscious breathing, it's easier for me to bear. It's easier for me to, okay, get up and go about my business and not let that just take over because I'm aware that it's there. And I also know that it is not me. This storm is not who I am. So I don't have to bring this storm everywhere in everything that I do. I don't have to snap at people randomly. They have nothing to do with what's going on in my head. Like, no, there's a storm, but there's Caro. Okay, maybe I won't be like jolly, joyful Caro. I might be more like, calm down. I'll just respond like, hey, what's up? Yeah, whatever, whatever. Instead of like, hey, what's good? but it's okay. I'm not giving them all the energy of what's going on within me. I still have a right to like go through what I'm going through, but I won't punish people for something that's going on within me. Okay, that has nothing to do with them. All right. Now, another tip, I'm thinking maybe I should do another video on that. I'll do a part 2 about this because I don't want the video to be too long, but I'll do another part. I'll do a part 2 to this, these tips on how I deal with negative thinking. Okay, so for now, at least if it can help you, start with those two, like those three actually. It's like conscious breathing. Okay, just through the nose, out the nose, fill the belly up, exhale, empty the belly completely. Number 2, clouds in the sky, especially if they're like, quote unquote, like, surface negative thoughts. You can tell the difference, when you can have a negative thought and you're like, really? And it just passes by. So clouds in the sky. But when it's deep rooted stuff with strong emotional ties and strong, like, emotional memory, then be conscious it's a storm that's going by, it's a hurricane, and therefore I can ground myself. I ground myself, I breathe, I am here in the present, I am still, I am grounded, I am anchored. This too shall pass. And just breathe, breathe, okay? You got this. You don't have to let your memories from the past, or even from something that just happened 5 minutes ago, that's still the past anyways, or anxiety from the future of whatever could happen in the future, come let them take over your minds. No, you got this. You can come back and be the consciousness that governs this body and choose, like, okay, I'm the one with the hands on the wheel, and therefore I choose that while we are driving through the storm, then I choose what direction we're going in. If I have to make a full stop, I make a full stop and wait for it to pass. If it's just clouds, then we keep going. And if anything at all, keep breathing, conscious breathing. Okay. So let me know what you think about those tips. I'll do a part 2 to elaborate a little more on other exercises that I do to deal with negative thinking and negative thought patterns or belief systems. I'll go deeper into it in future videos, but let me know if you try this and how it works for you. And if you have any questions, let me know, or anything in particular you'd like me to address on. Sorry, I received a call. So let me know if you have any questions in relation to negative thinking patterns, how to transmute them. And now transmuting is a whole different story, but at least to neutralize them when they happen, right? So like the tips that I've just shared. So let me know. And please don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at Wildflowers in the Sun with underscores. I'll put it down here somewhere. And I look forward to hearing from you guys and to share more videos on my knowledge. And hopefully this is all stuff that helps you to grow, to elevate your consciousness, expand your self-awareness, and get to know yourself even more, and how you can really be at the seat of your own throne, right? The seat of your own throne here, here, and here in your belly, okay? So that you are the one who's at the wheel. And you can really choose for yourself what direction your life is taking. Okay? So on that note, peace. Thank you for being here. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.